Before she became a legend, she was Norma Jeane, a girl who dreamed of being loved. But in her final days, Marilyn Monroe wasn't living a fantasy. She was unraveling in plain sight. The cameras still flashed, the studios still called, but behind her dazzling smile was a woman drowning in secrets, betrayal, and unbearable pressure. Fired by her studio, entangled with powerful men, and haunted by her own mind, Marilyn was trying to stage the biggest comeback of her life. Instead, she became the center of a mystery that never fully unraveled. Was it suicide or something darker? Why did key evidence vanish? What really happened behind those locked bedroom doors? This isn't just a timeline of tragedy. It's a story of love, power, fame, and the woman Hollywood couldn't save. These are the final days of Marilyn Monroe and the haunting silence that followed. The final comeback. In the spring of 1962, Marilyn Monroe walked back onto the Fox lot, determined to prove she was still a star. Something's Got to Give was her chance, a remake of a classic comedy and a potential career savior. She hadn't filmed in 18 months, recovering from gallbladder surgery, depression, and severe self-doubt. Many were eager to see if Norma Jeane could channel Marilyn again. But from day one, trouble shadowed the shoot. She struggled with chronic sinusitis, arrived late or missed workdays, and clashed with director George Cukor, who had staged several scenes without her. Fox was already losing millions on Cleopatra, and Marilyn's delays, 12 days present out of 32, frustrated everyone. Tensions built quickly, deadlines loomed, and her health and focus were fraying. On June 7, 1962, Fox made a stunning announcement. They fired the first-ever major star from a film. Fox sued for $750,000, but Monroe refused to fade away. She posed nude for life, did a daring swimsuit shoot, captured by Vogue's Bert Stern, and gave fierce interviews about her worth and star power. She wasn't just fighting for a film, she was fighting for her legacy. By July, Fox relented. Dean Martin refused to continue without her, so the studio rehired Marilyn with a new contract and a $1 million two-picture deal, the highest payoff of her career. But message boards had faded footage, mounting illness, and tarnished trust. The comeback was real, but she was running out of time. "Fame is fickle. It's not where I live," Marilyn declared in Life magazine. Marilyn's comeback was her last stand, fiery, fragile, hopeful, but edged with danger. She battled a powerful studio and her own body, and for a while, she won. But beneath the headlines and high-fashion shoots, the real fight was for something more lasting: respect, reinvention, and a place in history. That fight would only grow heavier. The weight of reinvention. At 36, Marilyn faced a public image crisis. The bombshell who once lit up screens was now being called washed up. She felt time closing in. No longer satisfied being just a sex symbol, she pushed for depth. The Misfits had already shown her range. Now, Something's Got to Give had to prove she was both glamorous and serious. But the pressure was brutal. Daily, she was catching up on missed lines and memorizing new scenes rewritten overnight. Health setbacks, gallbladder pain, chronic sinusitis sabotaged her. And off-camera, she wrestled with malicious rumors. Despite her radiant presence, her smile concealed fear that she wasn't enough. Not smart enough, not fast enough, not lasting enough. In May, she slipped into her sheer gown at JFK's birthday gala and sang, "Happy Birthday, Mr. President." It was beautiful, astounding, and desperate. Many saw brilliance. Others heard a plea. As flashes popped, the whispers grew louder. Behind the glamour was a woman clinging to validation she feared she'd lost. "I never wanted to be Marilyn. It just happened. Marilyn's like a veil," she confessed to photographer Larry Schiller. She was trying to reinvent herself on Hollywood's grandest stage, struggling to show she was more than a pretty face. But when the studio called her back, a bigger struggle surfaced. Not with Fox, not with fame, but with power, with politics, and with secrets she couldn't control. Love, power, and the Kennedys. Marilyn's comeback wasn't just professional, it was personal and political. Rumors blazed. Her off-screen romance with JFK and his brother RFK had grown from gossip to scandal. Happy Birthday amplified everything: her sultry tone, the controversy, the implication of closeness. Whispers lingered. She knew secrets those powerful men didn't want revealed. Her phone calls became frantic, unreachable. Close friends remembered her pleading with Peter Lawford, trying desperately to connect with the Kennedys. She was hooked, not just on love, but on proximity to power. But each connection was fraught with danger. Political intrigue swallowed romance. She was caught in a game that demanded silence. Quite literally, FBI files, bugged phones, notes destroyed. Friends watched her keep diaries she then burned. She flaunted pop culture access, but her personal security crumbled. Hollywood glamour was swapped for late-night phone calls that ended abruptly in tears or hushed warnings from worried friends. By late July, the Kennedys had pulled away. The political heat had become a threat. The cameras still flashed, but she was ending up alone in them. The brightest spotlight of her life had revealed the danger of being both a celebrity and a secret. "It's about more than affection. It's about survival," one friend recalled her saying in tears. Her final days weren't just shaped by code and cameras. They were weighed with the fear she might be too close to things bigger than herself. And as the script rewrote reality, she wasn't just performing for Fox or the public. She was performing for her own safety, her own truth. And that show would soon reach its fatal climax. Emotional fallout of a dangerous romance. By 1962, Marilyn's relationship with the Kennedys had gone far beyond whispers. Sources report heated phone calls to Peter Lawford and others, with her terrified of secrets spilling into the wrong hands. Once thrilling and secretive, her ties to power now weighed heavily. Proximity became paranoia. Love turned into a burden she could no longer carry. Friends recall her making frantic threats that she would go public with dangerous information if silenced. The only notes left behind were cryptic, panicked scribbles. The people she once trusted, Lawford, Murray, aides, warned her. Some accounts mention her burning diary pages as threats loomed. Others say key documents disappeared. Secrecy that had protected her was now suffocating her. Fear seeped into every corner of her life. She stopped trusting calls, paused in front of windows, and sometimes awoke gasping. Her diary entries reportedly described the feeling of being watched. Once the toast of the town, she now moved like a hunted animal, seeking safety, yet nowhere felt safe. She once confided, "It's about more than affection. It's about survival," underscoring the stakes. Hollywood glamour gave way to Hollywood dread. The world staked, unpredictable, and unkind. The red lips, white dress, and coy voice remained, but beneath the surface, a woman unprepared to carry this kind of secret. And that fear would demand a price she wouldn't survive. Marilyn's desperation had started as an intoxicating romance, but turned into a web of threats, fear, and disappearance. With her mind unraveling, The apothecary became her refuge and weapon. And the real battle wasn't for stardom, it was for her very soul. Next, the pills, the pain, and the spiraling breakdown that followed the secrets she could no longer hide. Pills and pain. Marilyn's dependence on barbiturates and sedatives was no secret, but by 1962 it had become uncontrolled. Accounts from her psychiatrists, Ralph Greenson, and physicians report her nightly routine: Nembutal, chloral hydrate, sometimes mixed with alcohol. Sleep became both precious escape and dangerous trap. Greenson, her trusted psychiatrist, saw her almost every day. In the months before her death, sessions grew long and intense, some lasting hours, filled with tears, panic, and raw fear. He warned colleagues she was unraveling, and yet he still prescribed drugs, sometimes against better judgment. Their relationship blurred lines. Greenson consolidated power and influence over her fragile mind. Her private journals, now widely documented, reveal a woman terrified of being alone, tired of living, and desperate for release. One note reads, "I want peace, but I'm too afraid to stop." The pills became her savior and her sentence, a nightly lottery with no guarantee she'd wake up. By late July, her overdose attempts were more frequent and more severe. Friends saw her stumbling, incoherent, and fading, but even as she begged for help, she kept returning to the bottle. The clinical administration of sedatives became an emotional deadlock. The escape she needed was the very thing that would kill her. She was unraveling, and nobody could hold her anymore, said a close friend. Addiction had claimed her vitality, rendering her voice and spirit increasingly brittle. The pills didn't silence the secrets, they amplified them. And when her fragile mind reached its breaking point, the scene set the final tragedy. Next, the chilling last night that remains shrouded in mystery. The night she died. On the evening of August 4, 1962, Marilyn felt both calm and chaotic, calling friends, her voice soft and cracking. Her last known call was to Peter Lawford at around 1 a.m., reportedly slurring, saying, "Say goodbye to Pat. Say goodbye to the President." Those words haunted listeners. Her housekeeper, Eunice Murray, didn't force entry until morning, fearing scandal more than delay. At around 3 a.m., psychiatrist Robert Greenson and physician Engelberg stepped in through a window. They found Marilyn face down, phone still in hand, and motionless on her bed. The scene wasn't cinematic. It was tragic. Autopsy confirmed lethal levels of Nembutal and chloral hydrate. Empty bottles nearby. But the lack of suicide note cast doubt. The lines between accident, intent, and something darker blurred. Time of death estimates ranged from 8:30 to 10:30 p.m., hours before she was discovered. The coroner ruled it a probable suicide. Yet Marilyn's last night remains veiled. Was it quiet resignation? A final choice? Or was she silenced, and the details cleaned up before anyone else walked in? The phone in her hand, still, suggested she reached out to someone until the end. But her voice didn't answer. She died alone, but not forgotten, said a family friend. The official story. After her body was discovered, toxicology revealed lethal levels of barbiturates, Nembutal and chloral hydrate, in her blood and liver. The coroner's office classified her death as a probable suicide. Doctors noted no sign of water glass at the bedside. Odd, because large quantities of pills usually require liquid to swallow. But the official story remained, and officially, Marilyn had taken her own life. Marilyn had confessed suicidal thoughts before. She once wrote in a journal, "I want peace, but I'm too afraid to stop." Her history with mental illness, the pills, the emotional breakdowns, it all pointed to someone in crisis. Yet closing the case with a neat label felt more like an exhale than a resolution. It ended the speculation, but not the questions. The public accepted, or at least believed, the narrative. They mourned her. They wrote about the tragic icon. Schools and studios paid tribute. Newspapers sold millions of extra copies, and the cultural conversation about mental health began expanding. Underneath that, though, a growing unease lingered. Were the facts fully examined? The official line was quick, clean, but the body of evidence wasn't. Still, the world needed a story it could understand. Suicide gave us closure. A broken star, alone at night, taking the escape she couldn't deny. But when every reflection in the mirror looks back with questions, the comfort of simplicity feels like betrayal, especially when the story seems too smooth, too tidy, too final. The story feels unfinished, too neat for such a messy life, one critic observed. The official verdict, suicide, offered an answer, but it didn't stop the doubts. Because without a note, without water, without clarity, you're left with guesses. And where the official story stops, conspiracy begins. But before we dive into theories, consider this. When evidence vanishes, what remains are shadows, and Marilyn's shadows never fully fade. They're unsettling questions and conspiracies. From the moment the coroner released the case, clever inconsistencies emerged. First, no water glass at her bedside. How did she down dozens of pills? The scene seemed staged, minimal disarray, pill bottles neatly aligned, clean sheets still being washed. First responder Jack Clemens even said, "It all looked too tidy." Yet later, a glass appeared. How? Who placed it? Then there were missing autopsy records. Dr. Noguchi noted dual lividity, blood pooling on both front and back, suggesting Marilyn's body had been moved after death. And toxicology lacked standard evidence of pills in her stomach or intestine. No residue, no crystals. With that quantity, something didn't add up. The FBI and LA Day investigated conspiracy theories for years, though official agencies found no murder evidence. But FBI files show they considered claims of political interference, Kennedy ties, mob involvement, clandestine recordings, tapes, telephone logs, diaries, gone. Key evidence vanished from labs and offices, and officials stayed silent under strenuous pressure. On Reddit and in documentaries, theories flourish. Some say she was silenced because she knew too much about JFK, RFK, nuclear secrets. Others cite wiretaps, bugged houses, or mob ties. Even some egg collectors theorize an organized takedown. Whatever your theory, the smoke is thick, and the fire never officially tracked. It's possible she was targeted, one Redditor wrote. She said, "Then I'll tell everyone." And then she died. The conspiracy theories are many. FBI shadowing, missing documents, bodies moved. Each inconsistency keeps the mystery alive. Was it a too neat suicide? Or something darker? Before the public could settle, her death became a stage filled with ghosts. And those ghosts led to the final scenes, the media storm, and a silence that would echo for generations. The fallout. When Marilyn died, the world paused. Newspapers worldwide ran front-page tributes, her face overlaid with words like tragedy and icon lost. Fans mourned, women prayed, men cried. The grief was global. Families lit candles. But Hollywood rushed in. Photographers camped outside her house. Souvenir hunters grabbed pillowcases and perfume bottles, and journalists combed through every room before the coroner arrived. Joe DiMaggio returned alone. Her ex-husband, her only husband who still cared enough to act. He arranged and funded her private funeral, banning the Kennedy clan and most Hollywood elites. He was resolute. No silver screen superstars, no flashing cameras, just Marilyn and the man who revered her. Photographers captured tears, single roses, empty pews. It was heartbreak in man's best clothes. Meanwhile, the press churned conspiracy stories. Did Jackie stop them from attending? Was Laniel's note missing? FBI holds, missing plumbers, missing diaries. The stories piled on. But amid the frenzy, the real Marilyn slipped away, replaced by myth. The world got a stylized version of grief. Hollywood grief. Real pain wasn't news. And then, silence. Police sealed their files. Hollywood retreated. FBI archived its files under national security. DiMaggio faded from public life. Fox quietly shelved Something's Got to Give. And Marvin Gaye sang R.I.P. Marilyn. But the silence rang like a cave, deep, echoing, and impossible to fill. Her death became a spectacle, her final performance, a critic wrote. DiMaggio's silent loyalty. After Marilyn's death, Joe DiMaggio returned from Italy, quiet, determined, and deeply grief-stricken. He didn't seek headlines. Instead, he arranged a private funeral in Westwood Memorial Park, refusing to let Hollywood or the Kennedys gatecrash his final tribute. Dressed in black, with a single rose, he honored her alone. No media flashbulbs, just respect. For the next 2 decades, he continued sending roses, twice weekly, leaving them at her crypt. His actions spoke louder than any public statement. He also kept silent about the conspiracy theories swirling around her death. Though sympathetic toward rumors involving the Kennedys, he never confirmed or denied them. He often said he'd protected her until the end, and, in a way, that protection began after her death. DiMaggio had once been her lover, but now he became her guardian. He stood between Marilyn and her fame, shielding her final memory from the glare she couldn't survive. He never stopped loving her, a close friend once remarked, even when she was gone. DiMaggio's devotion offers a stark contrast to the media frenzy. In a world that commodified her, he carved out a space of sacred memory. Yet even his quiet grief didn't erase the questions, the missing documents, the vanished tapes. Those questions would follow Marilyn into the void until someone could fill them, and that chase would begin now. The Lost Diaries and Vanishing Truth. Marilyn kept detailed diaries throughout her life. Some people called her a writer trapped in a body that sang. But the day after her death, several journals disappeared. Some were reportedly confiscated by the FBI. Others vanished under mysterious circumstances. Friends remember her burning pages, ripping entries about powerful men, secrets, and fear. Those writings could have clarified the Kennedy rumors or confirmed suspicions of foul play. Instead, her voice disappeared, replaced by rumor and speculation. The FBI official files released decades later hint at surveillance, marked call logs, tapes, interview notes. Yet none of these ever made their way to public archives. That silence enabled the myth to grow. Biographers and filmmakers speculated. Did she know too much? Was she threatened? Or had hers been a tragic coincidence? Someone burning to belong, then burning out? Without diaries, we have letters in places she'd never sent. In a single missing page, a lifetime of truth could vanish. To lose those papers is to lose her voice, observed a historian. We can imagine her life, but we cannot hear it. Marilyn's death wasn't just about sorrow, it was about erasure. No diary, no final account, only whispers in the dark. And when evidence disappears, mystery takes over. But her story didn't end with silence, because what followed was immortality. She became something larger than herself. And that'll be our final point. The legacy of her final days. Marilyn's death transformed her from star to legend. Suddenly, she became a symbol of broken beauty, fragile fame, and Hollywood's darkest side. The world couldn't let go. Shrines popped up. Books and documentaries followed. The lost sitting photo shoot sold for millions. We wanted to understand her, but only found more questions. Critics reevaluated her talent. The misfits grew in stature. Her portrayal of Lorelei Lee in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes was dissected not just as glamour, but as performance, identity, armor. Her death sparked a cultural shift. Hollywood had to face its duty to stars' mental health, privacy, and humanity. Even today, her final days matter. They remind us that fame can protect and suffocate. She died under lights, but alone. They remind us that image is powerful and dangerous, that being more than human can cost you surrender, and that one moment in the dark can echo forever. She's not a legend because she died, said a film scholar, but because she lived. Her final days didn't solve anything, but they shaped everything. They transformed a girl from Los Angeles into an eternal myth. Marilyn didn't die in obscurity. She died under scrutiny. Yet, in that scrutiny, she became immortal, forever desired, forever mourned, exactly like she always was and would always be. The woman behind the myth. Beyond the celluloid, beyond the gossip, there was Norma Jeane, a child of foster homes, longing for love, assurance, identity. She started as an audition, name changed, body polished, personas adopted, each for survival. Hollywood handed her glamour, but not belonging. Beneath the silk and fur lived a woman who asked, "Am I enough?" Her final days unveiled that question more than any role. The red-draped stage, the broken phone calls, the empty medicine bottles, they weren't just images. They were evidence of a soul chasing solace. Fame had given her the world, but it hadn't given her home. We like to remember the icon. We celebrate the legend. But Norma Jeane lived and struggled and died a woman no less fragile than any of us. She made mistakes, loved fiercely, sought peace, and couldn't find it. Her story isn't just tragic, it's human. She didn't get a happy ending, a friend once said, but she became immortal. Before the moonlight, the diamonds, the singers paying tribute, there was a girl who wanted love and died, wondering if she had it. Marilyn Monroe's final days weren't the end. They were the truth behind the performance. And that truth still echoes. Marilyn Monroe's story didn't end when she died. It transformed. She became more than an actress, more than a beauty icon. She became a myth wrapped in diamonds and shadows. But in chasing the myth, we often forget the woman behind it. Norma Jeane was vulnerable, brilliant, wounded, and yearning. Her laughter was real. So were her fears. So was her heartbreak. Her final days are a mirror of what Hollywood gives and takes. The comeback that never finished. The secrets that vanished. The legacy that outlived everyone involved. She wasn't just a victim of fame. She was a survivor of it, until she couldn't be anymore. Decades later, her face still sells magazines, her voice still haunts old records, and her eyes still ask a question we haven't answered. Did you ever really see me? In the end, Marilyn Monroe didn't get the love she gave so freely, but she left behind something more powerful than applause. She left a warning, a whisper through time. That fame can dazzle, but it can also devour. Her grave is quiet. Her story is not.